Hello
and
Welcome
welcome.
back.
Welcome back to Bells and Bloodshed, the one and only
Ooh.
podcast that talks about true crime, paranormal, mysterious, etc., etc. Anything that's dark and mysterious.
We're going to cover it.
Yes.
100%. But today it's my case, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but it's one that hits home, and I'm going to dedicate it to my Uncle Bob, who lives in the city that we're going to cover, which I'm not going to say it now, but shout out Uncle Bob. Love you. But
Hi
yeah.
there, Uncle Bob.
Yeah. Him and my Aunt Linda.
Oh,
Aunt
hey
Linda.
Aunt Linda. I have an Aunt Linda too.
Oh my gosh.
She's
twins.
really funny. She's like a savage on Facebook.
I love her. I love them. They're very sweet. They just got married last year.
Aww.
Yeah, they're so sweet.
Pop off to the newlyweds.
Newlyweds, guys.
You know
Love
who
y'all.
else got married last year?
You got married last October, and I didn't come to your wedding.
Okay, we talked about this. I was gonna invite you, but I didn't know if you wanted to come.
Girl, yeah, I love a wedding. I love love.
Well, I hadn't even met you in person yet.
Girl, I don't care. I love weddings. Anyway, so we're gonna get into this case, but first of all, girl, don't be peeking. We're gonna do some sweet tea time. So, Lindsay,
Yay!
go ahead with yours first.
Okay, so first of all, this pollen out here is not being my friend. And today, all day, I felt like I had some in my eyes because the pollen was everywhere, and it made me look like I was affected in my eyes as they were red. So that was really inconvenient. Also, I was supposed to go on like a work trip thing tomorrow.
Oh
It's
my
like a
God.
day trip. And it ended up like getting postponed or whatever, which is fine. Like, but I'm one of those people, very type A. I cannot handle change, and I like plan my whole week around it.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're not going, and I'm like, literally, what do I do? Like, I'm almost like, I just don't even want to go tomorrow.
Yeah, because like we were like
But I'm going to.
normally we shoot on Thursdays, like that's our day.
Yeah, and now it's Wednesday.
And now it's Wednesday, so like my whole thing, I'm like thrown off a little bit because
Me
I'm the
too.
same way. I'm
It
like,
feels like Thursday, but it's not.
yeah, because I'm like, oh, tomorrow's Friday. I'm
I
like,
should just
actually
skip.
not.
I should just not go to work on Friday, but I have to because I'm a good employee.
I would like not go to work, but like if our
Teacher days are strict.
our boss texted us and was like, no one take off on Friday because like we've already hit our max. Like our max is 5 people.
Dang, okay.
And it's like everybody on my hall is like gone.
Well, you know about the excuse I told you about. You definitely need to get out.
I sure do know about that excuse, and I might use it in the near future.
Oh, other sweet tea time. This is very fun, but I'll kind of let Bailey talk about this a little bit. But I have 2 very exciting events this weekend.
I wonder what that could be. I don't know.
Yeah, they're for Bailey.
They're for me. So we have an engagement party coming up Saturday night. It's gonna be like small, family, friends.
Yeah, just
very,
a small,
very tiny.
quaint party at the local bougie country club.
Oh my God! And then the next one, the day after, that will be a church shower, and that's kind of like right around our neighborhood. And
I get to give you your first gift.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
you a gift for both showers though.
Oh, you didn't do
Yeah,
that.
they were like good gifts too. I was proud of myself.
Okay, well, I'm proud of you. But like, I'm just not. I don't know how I'm gonna handle just like sitting right there and just being like.
I'm glad my time's over.
Opening gifts, like because I'm like, oh, thank you. I'll be really excited. I'm just kind of like, I'm so nervous to be up there in front of all these people. And are you gonna be writing notes, like taking everything down, like who got?
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna need to get somebody to do it. I'll do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't.
But I struggle with that too because it's like I am appreciative, but like I don't know how to fully express my appreciativeness.
Exactly.
And it's like if you sit there the whole time and you're like, oh gosh, thank you so much. Like it gets like to the point where people are like, okay, she's a faker.
But like I am like so appreciative of everything and the
It's just
friends and
awkward.
family. But I'm just like, oh Lord, I hope. I'm just like,
it's very
this
awkward.
is gonna be awkward. I know it is.
Because everybody's sitting there like, oh. And like I will say, there's gonna be times where you open a gift and you're thinking in your mind like, I'm literally never gonna use this, but then you end up using it all the time. And there's gonna be times where you get gifts and you're like so pumped about it and you still haven't used it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you know, from a married woman.
Well, let me think. Let's think of my sweet tea time. I'm trying to think. Today my kids had a test and it was about rights and responsibilities. And that was exciting for them because I made it a little bit more difficult, even though some of my kids finished it in 2 minutes. Of course I did because they were smarties.
That's how I was in school.
It drives me nuts because I'm like, calm down, read over it because I might have tricked you. And then they're like, oh, how did I miss this one? Did you read over it? No, sorry.
Did you ever have a test? Like, I had a test one time, and it was like a test on to see how you follow instructions. And it was like, draw with this, or like,
I need to do that.
write your name, whatever. And then you get to the end, and it was like, and your teacher specifically told you, read till the end before you do anything. And I did not do that. And you get to the end, and it was like, now, and it said, just kidding, don't do any of it. Have you ever had one of those?
Mm-hmm. I need to do one of those, but
I fully failed it. I literally did everything.
I did do an April Fool's prank to like.
I didn't do April Fool's. I forgot it was April Fool's.
Well, I did marshmallow farming, and no, it's not real.
You should have done the gummy worm farm or the gummy bear farm.
I should have done that one.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen that. I need to look it up. But
you couldn't have done that at school. It's kind of inappropriate.
Okay, I'm not doing that. But we did marshmallow farming, and like I had them fully convinced that marshmallows grow, like, from the ground. And I'm like, yeah, guys, like the reason like you can't do it is because it takes a certain group of people from North Carolina to farm them. And because the video we saw was like 12 years old from North Carolina, I'm like, yeah, they take the seeds out, they farm them, and they're like, what? How? And like in the video, the guys were eating them from the trees, and it looked super convincing. And then my other classes, they were
that tree is swinging.
Is swinging, and
just a swinging.
My other classes, they were kind of getting on my nerves. I'm like, all right, spelling test. Again, I'm a history. I'm a history teacher, and I was giving them words like paleontology, economics.
Ross Geller, who?
What?
Ross Geller.
Who's
a paleontologist?
Oh yeah. And they were like, and so I just said, I'm like, if y'all keep talking, I'm just gonna keep going. And we got to number 30. And I said, for your last word, spell April Fools. And they all looked at me, and they were just like, Miss what? And I'm like,
honestly, I was kind of scared because like I work with police officers, and they are big jokesters, but they're like the kind of jokesters, like they're all men, like they're the type that like they would like scare you in a clown mask on the toilet or something.
No,
not me, obviously, but like their coworkers, like they're big jokesters. Like they're the type that like you go to get in your car, and there'd be like baby powder on everything. They're like big jokesters, so I was like, if they do April Fool's, it's gonna be big, and that was scary to me.
Well, moving on. I have my case and I'm ready to go now. Okay, so ours starts off in a little city just located 40 miles southwest of Jackson, Mississippi. It is called Yazoo City. Okay. Oh my gosh, the time code fell. That was scary.
Sorry about that, guys.
Are you spooked? Are you ready for the story?
I was looking at the wind, and I was like, you know what? There was a wind advisory today. And I was sitting here like, should I do something about that?
Oh my god.
But I was like, nah.
Okay. So at some point, we have all come across them. They're normally portrayed as crones in a black dress with pointy hats. We see them in the movies, read about them in books, and even learn about them in school. Witches are embedded in our country's culture, and that is even truer for the city of Yazoo, Mississippi. Okay, now
I know this one, and I love it.
I know this one's really interesting because this one brought
it's kind of crazy too.
It's crazy because it brought so much like people down to the south, and it's like even more crazy that there hasn't been like a movie made about it.
Yeah.
So located again 40 miles northwest of Jackson, Yazoo City, founded in 1824, was originally known as Hanan's Bluff. Okay.
It's a terrible name.
That is a really terrible name.
Hanan.
And then later it was renamed Manchester, only to then be changed again in 1841 to Yazoo City.
Yazoo City, Manchester. That's such a like northern city.
No, that sounds like Manchester.
Like, this is Mississippi. Let's get real.
The Yazoo River was the inspiration behind the town's final name. French explorer Robert La Salle gave the river its name in 1682. So, I mean, why didn't they just name it that in the beginning? He called it, I can't even pronounce it, something Yazoo. In
Yazoo.
Yazoo, in reference to the Yazoo tribe of Native Americans living near the mouth of the river. Though
Oh,
no
that's
one,
so sweet.
yeah, that is sweet. Though no one knows for certain, some people say that the word Yazoo meant death in their native tongue. If that is the case, the name, the River of Death, perfectly sets the stage for the story I'm about to tell.
Okay,
Okay,
then.
so
Got the storytelling elements.
okay. By the time our story began, Yazoo City had already seen its trouble. Okay, again, it's the South. It's in the 1800s. It's in the year
People was broke.
1860s. People were broke, and it was also very much damaged because of the American Civil War. Okay.
Yeah, and you know that that was like in Meridian.
And
It
we.
was like a big deal because Meridian was the capital of Mississippi during the Civil War. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh wait, you're a history teacher.
Duh.
Of course you would know that.
Yeah. But it's also who was it that stormed through Meridian? Who was it? We gotta
I
think.
don't know, but I remember somebody did because Mary Hope survived.
Sherman. I think it was Sherman. Sherman's marched through the South. Now Sherman stayed in Meridian and he burned everything, but he did not burn down Mary Hope because it was quote too beautiful to burn.
Aren't we having a brunch there?
We are having my bridesmaids lunch in there, so that's really exciting for that.
Is that
the day before the wedding? Yeah. Then you're having that, then the rehearsal dinner.
Yeah. Dang, girl, we're gonna be eating good then.
We're gonna be eating good and we're gonna be tired.
Yeah.
You hope you're ready for it.
I'm ready, girl.
So again, it was damaged in the 1860s during the American Civil War, and it became known as the Battle of Yazoo. I think I know who that is. Then the city was then rebuilt, only to be struck by yellow fever.
Oh Lord!
So it was just blow after blow for them, and it was just not looking good. It was just yellow fever, American Civil War. It just was not good.
You know who else fought in the Civil War?
Who?
Damon Salvatore.
He sure did.
Was he on the south or the north side? I think the south side.
I think he was for the Union. We gotta look it up.
I don't know. Yeah, he might have been.
He was for the Union because he was he was in Virginia.
Yeah, I couldn't remember like if Virginia was because like Virginia's kind of it could be either or.
Then moving on, so again it was just restruck by yellow fever and all that, and then it was struck down by later on a woman that seemed to just move into the town and no one
Lord,
really
have mercy, what done happened?
All problems lead back to women, of course.
Yeah.
So apparently her story is she lived in a shack along the swampy part of the river. No one knew her name, nor did they care. They just were like, there's that woman on the side.
Women didn't have rights back then.
There's that woman on the side of town, and we're not going to disturb her, and hopefully she won't disturb us.
Honestly, like, I would kind of like to have my own little shack on the river where I wouldn't
no one could bother me. They called her and described her an old, ugly woman, half ghost, half scarecrow, and all witch.
Like the zebra from My Little Pony.
What's that?
Girl, you don't know.
I don't know. We gotta tell me about that later. And then, despite the efforts, I just wasn't able to find a valid reason behind the hatred of her. They just didn't like her.
Because she was ugly, probably.
She was the ugly.
Women weren't meant for much back then, you know.
No,
so if you were ugly, I mean, kind of took away a little bit.
It said, soon after her appearance, bad things began to happen. Men began to disappear while fishing on the Yazoo River.
Doing the Lord's work right there. Don't you? I'm married. I love my husband. But it's still funny.
And then it said that it wasn't long before the nameless woman was blamed. Okay, so men were starting to just go missing from that river along the side of where she was living. So of course they're going to be like, "You're the one to blame."
Well, I mean that's
of course
that's kind of fair. I mean,
it's fair, you know.
But then again, people, I mean, they could have just drowned or something.
Yeah. Stories began to circulate throughout the area. According to the tales, the old woman lured the fishermen to her house with promises of food and shelter. So she sees these men. She sees that they're tired.
Is that Buddy?
No, that's Major.
Oh my gosh.
No.
I was like, there is a random creature in your yard. Okay. My apologies.
No, you're
Continue.
good. So she sees that they're tired and that she's like, "Hey, come in my house. We got food. We got shelter. Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on, come on." Once inside the house, though, the woman poisoned the men with arsenic and then buried the bodies in the woods nearby.
Man, I thought she was gonna be eating them at least.
Yeah, kind of like Grimm's fairy tale with the.
Yeah.
I know.
And like put them in the stew.
Yeah.
Like I was imagining her around
Hansel and Gretel. Yeah, that.
Yeah, that
Mm-mm.
used to freak me
It
out
really freaked
so
me out.
bad.
Okay, so, but then again, no, there was never any proof. Nothing was ever discovered, and then nothing really could be done until we get to the fall of 1884. And so then this part of like the legend and the lore kind of revolves around a guy named Joe Bob.
Joe Bob
Joe Bob, or he's also listed
out here
as
making history.
he's also listed as Jim Bob, but
Okay,
it's
Jim
either
Bob.
Joe Bob or Jim Bob.
How Mississippi can you get?
Joe Bob.
You may be a redneck if
You maybe you're gonna give your name
is Jim Bob
Jim
or
Bob.
Joe Bob.
Joe Bob. So Joe Bob was drifting on a raft down the river on May 25th, 1884, and he heard what sounded like screams. Okay? He headed his raft in the direction of the sounds. One thing I wouldn't do is go where you hear screaming.
That's like how you die in a horror movie. Don't go towards the sound.
Don't go to the, oh, what made that noise in the woods? Let's go check it out. No, don't do that. Let's just stay where you're at and call 911. Thank you. And he headed his raft in the direction of the sounds.
Well, they didn't have 911 back then. But...
Yeah, back then, but now you do.
Yeah, you got the 911 nowadays.
And he ended up near the old woman's shack. He tied his raft to a cypress branch, hopped onto the shore, and made his way to the house.
Well, right.
Well, I just props to him for having guts, but I couldn't do it.
Well, guts ain't much if you ain't got a brain.
You're right about that. He peeked into the window and saw the old woman wearing a dress covered in mud and the cockaburs, the ones that just get stuck to your clothing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This girl sounds nasty.
Let me see. So then he left the house and I'm trying about it. He went back into town, rallied up a whole bunch of men, like lawmen, of course, police, and went back. And then when they went inside the house, they found skeletal remains. Like 3 different skeletal remains in the house.
Good Lord, this woman was getting some action. And not in that kind of way.
No. And they went back outside, and the lawmen made chase, but by the time they found her, she was buried in quicksand.
The crap?
Uh-huh.
Where's she get a hold of quicksand?
That's what we're saying. But with her dying breath, she cursed the town. In 20 years, she would return, break free from her grave, and burn the town to the ground. And so she was saying, "Hey, I'm cursing y'all right now. This town that we know, it will be gone. It will be burnt to the ground."
Okay, Dan.
After her body was recovered, she was buried in Glenwood Cemetery. They bordered the grave with chains and gave it a headstone with the initials T.W. carved into it.
The witch.
Some townsfolk say that the initials stood for the witch, and others think it stood for her name, Tandy Warren. But we will get to that in a minute.
Goodness, she's dead. The witch of the west is dead.
Time passed. The witch and all the murdered men in the grave were all but forgotten. Before they knew it, 20 years had passed. The town was thriving. It was thriving. Yeah, the witch is dead.
Thriving and vibing.
Thriving. That is until May 25th, 1904. Because remember, it was May 25th, 1884, when she died and she cursed the town.
Oh.
So the day started just like any other, but they said that there was a pretty strong, gusty wind that was unusual for that time of day.
We got a gusty wind right now.
Mm-hmm. We do. Okay, witch, stay where you're at. And there are several stories about how the fire had gotten started that day. And they said that there was one named Pauline Wise, and she was preparing for her wedding day. And they said that that might have gotten started, or started in the parlor of of
Well,
where she
dang
was
it,
at.
Pauline.
Another says that a young boy was playing with matches, and that's how
That'll
it
do it.
caused
That'll
it.
do it right there.
Regardless of what started the fire, it says that the fires
We didn't start the fire.
says that the fires started with swiftness, and it looked like they were just leaping from place to place, like very
Dang.
supernaturally.
Oh, wow.
And before firefighters could stop the blaze, it had destroyed 3/4 of the town. Okay, so she made good on her. She followed through on her promise. Now we're gonna go back to the initials of TW. In one variation of the legend, Joe Bob went home after helping firefighters all day. He found his son playing, and he was confused at the boy's behavior. He asked, "Why are you so happy? Half the town is now burned." And the son replied that he had met a nice lady outside the general store before the fires began. And the boy said that the woman had danced with him and then saved him from the flames. And according to his son, the lady knew Joe Bob, and so she had sent a message to him by the boy. Joe Bob opened the note to see the words, "I told you so, Candy Warren."
Holy crap, that is crazy.
Uh-huh. And it says, remembering the witch's oath, some of the town's residents visited her grave. They found that the chains were in pieces.
Holy moly, that's crazy.
Again, because she was like chained to the ground whenever they buried her, because they were trying to make good on the promise that she wouldn't come back. Now, whether you believe it,
well, I knew about
the facts
fire,
remain.
And I knew about the witch, but I didn't know about the chains and the note.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
My Uncle Bob, again, shout out to Uncle Bob, that lives in Yazoo, like, sent me pictures, and I'll send them to you to put in here. And they have, people place, like, lipstick, they place, like, necklaces on the grave, and, like, it's still, like, a pretty well-known spot that, like, if you go there, you leave the witch something.
Yeah, we have a place like that, too.
We have the Gypsy Queen here in Meridian that we need to cover, and we need to go there, but in kind of like right now where it's not dark yet, because we need to be safe.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
not
the best place in town to go. Like, you might, see a drug deal or be in the way of a stray bullet, and like, I'm not being mean, I'm being for real. Like, it's just not, like, you can pull up the news break, you know what I'm saying? That'll tell you all you need to know.
Exactly.
But not the best place, but I think, like, I know my husband would go. He's a little history buff, I
think Nick would go.
I think he would, because that wouldn't be anything that would scare him.
Nick does not like the spooky.
Bless them.
He does not like the spooky, which I'm perfectly fine. I love the spooky. But back to the story.
Oh, yes.
So, again, the facts remain. A fire did destroy Yazoo in 1904, and there is a grave in Glenwood Cemetery wrapped in chains. The original headstone has long since gone missing.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
But they erected a new one that tells the legend. That headstone has since been broken. The chains are repaired as needed, just in case. And then a local author named good old, Mr. Morris, Willie Morris, grew up with the legend, wrote about it in his book Good Old Boy. When Willie Morris,
that's a good old
boy, and the Witch of Yazoo, he did too. Good Old Boy, and then Good Old Boy and the Witch of Yazoo. And he was buried in the Glenwood Cemetery. His headstone is only 50 feet away from the witch he made famous.
I don't know where I'm going to get buried.
What now?
I don't know where I'm going to get buried.
I'm trying to find the picture of it.
I guess I don't, our church don't really have, like, a place to get buried at, I don't think.
What about Magnolia?
Magnolia?
Yeah, Magnolia Cemetery.
Where's that at?
By the high school.
What high school?
Meridian High.
Girl.
That's where all of our folks are buried.
Well, I thought I was going to get buried at my church that I grew up at, but I don't go there no more. I go to a different church now.
Well, it's
crazy how life changes, guys.
Do they have a cemetery?
Yeah, but, like, I'm going to be buried next to my husband,
That's true.
I want to get a coffin that has a hole in it, and that way I can stick my hand out and
Oh my gosh.
I can hold my husband's hand and all like for forever. It's
Oh.
like, in heaven I'll hold his hand, but like physically.
Okay.
Because I really love my husband. Isn't that so sweet?
You really do love your husband.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. Shout out to you.
Okay,
Kaden.
here I'm gonna read what it says on the headstone. According to local legend, on May 25th, 1904, the witch of Yazoo City broke out of these curious chains
Oh, Lord have mercy.
links
chain
surrounding
break-
her
wait, no,
grave
that's not right.
and burned down Yazoo City. Writer Willie Moore's classic Good Old Boy brought national renown to this vengeful woman and her shameful deed. That is
Lord
Yazoo
have
City's
mercy.
Witch of Yazoo.
Well, that show, speaking of international or national fame, you know that show on Netflix, and it's the Tupelo Kings,
Mm-hmm.
and they had like a conspiracy or something to kill the president.
What?
My mama went to high school with one of them, I think.
No.
He went to a place you know well.
Okay, to me later.
You know, it ain't right down the road. We just talked about it. A place where you see very often, almost every day.
Okay.
That's where he
Interesting.
went.
Well, guys, that was my case of
Awesome
Yazoo
job.
City. I love it.
I loved it. That was good. That was interesting.
It was interesting. I mean, we grow up hearing about the Witch of Yazoo, and like, especially being from the South,
And the people on the road that had the pet lion around here.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about that?
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to work at that fire station.
That is insane that people have that, actually.
Yeah, like that for real did.
I love that.
Also, fun fact, like this is just a little random tip. My dad's actually a fireman, and like sometimes people are fascinated by that, and sometimes people couldn't care less. But I just want to throw that out there. I don't know. People just like firemen, you know.
Yeah, because it's like what they do is
The
so
movies and stuff.
selfless, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there used to be a fire dog in Meridian named Roxy.
Roxy. Aww.
Yeah, she's old though, or she was old. It's like she was older last time I saw her.
You know
so
what movie I loved growing up?
What?
Firehouse Dog.
Girl, didn't we all?
That was such a
Little
good
Peter
movie.
Malark in his early days.
That was Peter Malark. Yes. Oh my god, I'm so behind on that.
I thought about buying one like that kind of breed of dog one time.
Mm-hmm. That's a good dog.
I love that movie.
Yeah, as in my little Maltipoo is gonna save people, little buddy.
Well, I got my little baby Callie. Oh, I have a Boykin
so
Spaniel, and like I'm actually obsessed with her.
Oh, she's a sweetie.
Yes, she is. She's a little hyper, but she's still a puppy, and you know those dogs are gonna be a little energetic.
Mm-hmm.
But she's getting there.
She's working on it.
Yeah, she's working on it.
She's my godchild.
Yes, and she's just the cutest little tutu baby in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is it for this week's episode. Make sure to comment, subscribe, and send us some suggestions. Because I think I might, for my next one, I'm gonna go ahead and already spoil it. I might be looking.
How dare thou?
How dare I? I might, but mine will be out for 2 weeks. I feel like I might go on Reddit and like screenshot or compile a list of like the scariest stories on Reddit.
Those are good, but it's like when you look for them, you can't find them. But it's like when you're not looking for them, they come up.
I know. I just think those are so interesting.
They are. I love them.
I love it, and I just like listening to them because you never know when the twist is coming. Then you're like, oh,
have you heard the one about the girl who her dog was licking her hand? Like she was in the bed and it was a human or something. Yes, that was crazy. But you might hear about that later. So
tune in to find out. Thank y'all for watching. Bye.